there's just one person in your life who can really do something about your narcissistic adult kids. And this person is you, and I'm going to tell you why, because it has much to do with your inner limits, with your way of thinking you want to be loved, the same love you have never received earlier, and that you haven't educated yourself in the dynamics of narcissistic relationships, that you now are having, let's say, the fruit of it in your life as you being now the victim. This is really problematic, and I'm going to tell you how to get out of it. And it's not so complicated, but you need to understand the dynamics and let go of them and elevate your self-esteem, your self-confidence, your self-love, elevate your standards, your principles, your values. This is going to be a part of this whole way, and become a person with that good of limits, that good limits, that nobody is going to cross your limits any longer, because you are not going to allow them. For this, you need to heal. For this, you need to understand how you pull narcissistic people into your life and how you have educated your now adult narcissistic children how it is okay for you to be treated. I know it's not pretty, and I hope you're going to stick around with me, because there's much healing around for you. Everything you can do. You need nobody else to change. You need nothing to do, neither with the narcissistic people you've grown with, nor with the narcissistic people you've been around having those kids with. And if you see it or if you see it not, you know. And it's just really on you and understanding how you have embraced victim dynamics and how you have identified yourself with victim dynamics, because getting out of these dynamics would be to get out of your comfort zone, would be to get out of dynamics you have established in your upbringing, probably with narcissistic people in your upbringing. And it would be to confront something we all don't want to confront, and it is our inner emptiness, our void, our where there's nothing, where we have to really get in touch with that nobody really showed us love. And you will learn that it is not always like that. You have overlooked people, or the way how people were here and there in your life who have given you love, and that you haven't, let's say, taken it into account, because you thought these loud people from whom you tried to get love all your life long, and the less they gave to you, the more you got focused on them. And if you let go of these dynamics, you will be confronted with the emptiness, with the void, with your feelings of not being loved, your feelings of not being worthy. And these feelings, you project them into the world, and you say, each time somebody treats you not right, you say, it's okay for me to be treated like this, because I don't want to be like this aggressive. My name is Christina Junge. I'm a love and leadership mentor. If you would like to subscribe to the channel, I would love to have you. If you'd like to leave a comment or a like, welcome. Let's get into those dynamics. This is so difficult. This is so difficult, but it is so rewarding once you take the steps necessary to step out and to level up to a state of, like an energetic state of no longer accepting the last role, which is the victim role. Okay? You have learned, if you are having now adult narcissistic children in your life, you have lived for them how roles are and how you expect and accept to be treated. Let's be honest. Nobody invents that. Nobody can treat bad a person who has good inner limits. Okay? People who are treating bad other people, hurt people who hurt people, have a very, very fine sensibility of where these people are energetically, and if they can do it. I always say they smell you. This is like a chemistry they feel, because you are vibrating with them on the same level. It's the victim level. These people who are victimizing you are only victims too, but they chose to choose another victim to feel always a little bit above this victim, who is you. Okay? So if you understand that these people will always smell you, you will have to understand that you were begging for love from those people, and that this is not a way to live. And it is not a way to live to expect them to come at some point into your life and to tell you, do you know what, I'm so sorry, I was treating you so bad, so I was in such a denial, and I treated you so, this was really subhuman how I treated you, please forgive me. Are you still waiting for that? You're waiting somehow for that to happen, that somebody would finally come and recognize you as a person, would finally come and fill this void with love, with reconciliation, with asking you to forgive them. This is not going to happen. You need to do this for yourself. You need to go this path of empowering yourself, of getting out of the dynamics where you feel so comfortable because you're not aggressive, because you've taken on this cross on you. Excuse me, please, if I say it like this. And you were burdening this cross, and you were saying, if I carry this cross for you, you might not accuse me no longer of being guilty of you feeling bad. So I will just be quiet, and at some point I will alleviate your pain and your accusations, and you're going to be fine. So it sounds noble, it sounds like something which is worth a path worth going. But in the end, you're just feeding into their narcissism. You're just feeding into their dynamics. And the same with your adult children. Okay? They have learned long ago where you are energetically. That you are the one who's being beaten in this family dynamics. And that you wouldn't say a word. Okay? They've understood that long ago. And they've chosen, maybe not all of your children, but those who are narcissistic have chosen the path which sounded to them like an empowerment path, because they were not in this victim role. They were rejecting because they saw you. I'm sorry, I have to say that. And they said, this is not a good place to be, It is not important if they are not empathetic. It is not important if they don't feel, or if you don't recognize them as good people, and if you think your path of going is much more noble, or maybe you have other people, like other children, which are on your side and also have more tendency to accept being victimized. But it is not the path to go. You need to go a path of self-empowerment. You need to get out of your comfort zone where you keep on saying, if I just be good enough for this whole world, they will change. Hello. Whom did you change so far? Put me in the comments. Which narcissistic person have you changed with you being all good and carrying this burden, carrying this cross for them, and not saying a word for against all their offenses, and making you feel guilty for everything which is not working in their lives? Who did? Who changed? Whom did you change? Nobody. Let's put it like this. Let's get this illusion off of our eyes, of our hearts, that you would be doing some noble work here. You're doing a shitty work. Excuse me, please, if I say it like this, and I'll tell you why. People need boundaries. People love boundaries. You would do a really, really, really good job in getting those people into a, like putting them, the sticks into the field where they can cross lines and where they can't cross lines. People are begging for that. Understand that it does good to them. Don't do this to these people. To no longer, or to not put boundaries. To not tell them how the rules are. To not make them understand that there are norms, To not communicating your standards and getting in touch with them, like developing them, your principles, your values. Start communicating, start elevating this energy inside of you. And there will be no problem with narcissistic kids in your life no longer. There won't be any problems with narcissistic people in your life. This is the number one way of getting abusive dynamics out of your life, okay? As you being the victim. They are going to pop up, but it's a question of how you deal with it, okay? And for this, you need to understand the dynamic that you have assumed responsibility or guilt, responsibility for people who didn't want to be responsible for their feelings, for the way they behave, for how they needed you to be under them in victim dynamics, that you always would be just a little bit, just this inch pinch, under how they feel victimized. You need to understand this. You need to understand that they feel like empowering themselves inside of those dynamics by being abusive, that they feel strong because you allow them to feel strong. If you put limits and if you put them in their place, they just crumble. They just fall, They're such cowards, They're so weak. They have so no identity. Nobody can be strong who would need other people to be under them constantly and to assume the responsibility for them by making them feel guilty for everything which is not working in their lives. It's like, hello, wake up. Understand that they aren't that strong as you paint them to be. Neither are your children, your narcissistic children. It is the space you're giving them. It is the space you've been opening up for these people. As you said, I'm not going to be aggressive. I'm not going to risk being disliked by these people because it's the only thing I have. I know it's hard, I don't want to, add insult to injury. I don't. I want you to get out of the dynamics, understand. So you've been begging you've learned this in your upbringing. You've been begging narcissistic people for approval, for love, for recognition, for being there for you, for filling your void, for making sense, for giving you identity. And they will never do it because it's not what they're seeking. Understand this, okay? So it is now on you to understand that these people have left you completely empty and confused. Okay? You are confused about what you know now, what you have adopted of knowledge from those people which was wrong, okay, which are guilt and dynamics and victim dynamics and power trips and lies and all these things. So you have accommodated inside of your mind, inside of your brain, that these people are okay. Because they were telling you all the time that you are the one responsible for what is happening bad in their lives. Not for the good things. Never for the good things. Remember? That's critical, right? And you need to understand that you need to stop begging these people for approval. That they will finally fill this void. So you have understood that everything what they're doing is okay, although you all the time felt that it is not or it was not. Okay? And if you understand this, that you were accommodating things in your head, like becoming a super controller in your head, okay? Because you were no longer connected to your intuition, you were no longer connected, no longer, you can say that, no longer connected with your emotions, with your feelings, with your love, your self-love, your self-worth, your self-confidence. This could never grow. This could never establish. So you finally, that's not the word. You are in the end responsible yourself for filling all this up, what you considered to be normal, as people were telling you all these lies of how to accommodate them and how to be strong for them and how to assume guilt for them and how to assume responsibility for them. And what you have done is to silence everything which is right inside of yourself, which is, I always say, like this connection to God, where there's pure knowledge, where there's pure intuition, where there's pure wisdom, where you can understand, where there's pure consciousness, where there's pure understanding of right and wrong. So you have cut yourself off from this, because nobody ever told you that what you feel and what you are and how you think once you still were connected with it was okay. So you assumed you're wrong. So you adopted a way of thinking which is their thinking, and it made you feel confused. So the fruit of all this is that you are full of anxiety, that you are full of depression, that you are full of borderline things, that you are full of psychotic ideas, that you're full of panic attacks, whatever you have, full of addictions, full of whatever you have developed, because you could never connect. This was never like in congruence, in resonance, this what you were thinking up here and what you were feeling. Okay, so you were all the time accommodating like strange thoughts into your system, which made you feel and understand that you are the victim, that you are guilty, that you have to take the responsibility for everything which is going wrong in their lives, and this was never congruent for you. But you adopted it anyways. Why? Because you wanted to be loved, all right? By people who have no love for you. I'm sorry, they don't have love. So how can they give love to you? And if you now understand this, that you grew up like this, understanding that you have no worth, that what is going on inside of you is wrong, and that you constantly have to control everything up here in your mind to be able to survive, to be able to make somehow sense in your life, which will never happen, because it's just a scheme of controlling the uncontrollable, because your world was out of control. All right? And a part of this is that you were begging love from those people, and now you established your own family with obviously a narcissistic person, again, because you were so accommodated in those dynamics and you thought it was okay what they did to you because you are guilty and you are not enough and you know already this, so you were all at home in those dynamics. And you didn't learn and understand to put healthy limits. So you're living those dynamics equally with your now own family, where you had big hopes that things would be very different, and obviously since you weren't different, things weren't different. And these people didn't fill your void either. These people didn't fill like this emptiness and your longing for love and for recognition, for acknowledgement, for, this thumb up. They weren't doing that either. So you were left even more lonely, even more like attached to an idea that you are not enough and that you can't do it. And if you now put limits, you will push him even further away. Do you understand this? And this is why you don't put limits. You haven't learned to do it. You don't feel like doing it because you don't have standards. You don't have self-worth. You don't have self-confidence. You don't have self-love and all these things. And you didn't develop, obviously, skills in how to do it. You didn't understand how to do it, and you didn't practice. So you're not good at it, okay? And something inside of you fears that if you put limits, even those are going to run. But you don't understand that you are worse where and how you are right now, okay? And that it is not fair to not put limits to people. And if you get this, that it is not fair from your part, to not set limits to narcissistic people, then you understand that you keep them in those dynamics and you need to stop this. This is now your responsibility to set limits to them, to narcissistic people, and this gets you out of your comfort zone, okay? And this is more uncomfortable to you than to them. And if you understand this, you understand that you need to put limits now to your children, to do good to them, okay? And why you don't do it? Because you're protecting yourself. I'm sorry, I hope you understood a little bit those dynamics. I hope it was helpful to you. I know this is like a big old picture. It's very complex in understanding it and in dealing with it. But this is at least one way of dealing with the entire dynamics. If you like to subscribe to my channel, you can do this. You're invited to do that. If you would like to get in contact with me about coaching, you can write to Christina@christinajunge.com. It's down there, linked to. And check this other video out, which is coming up right here, talking about how to get out of narcissistic dynamics, how to understand them, and how to be empowered as you are maybe the victim in them, because you choose to heal now. Okay, I'll help you doing that. Bye, my dear community.